feel the same way, Squidkins. Hey, it's Wednesday, September 13th, or 30th, which is like the 13th, but farther in time. And we're going to try to record class and see how things go. Fingers crossed. Cover that, kids and digital. The IXL, I will be assigning a new IXL, but not until tomorrow. It's going to be about theme, but you can, again, get out of it. If you do well on quiz coming up this week, then again, you'll be able to get out of it, and that's why I'm going to explain it to you. If you're really bored, it is already on IXL. If you go on there, I think I've already assigned it to you. But soon, I will be removing the E.2 because my goal is to only have, like, at the most 2 out there. So once I assign a new one officially in class, I remove the other one from IXL, making you have to go look it up. Blah, blah, blah from there. Quiz tomorrow, or for you guys, Friday? Tomorrow! So we have a quiz coming up Thursday/Friday, depending on whenever classes is watching, because I'm recording. Other kids might see it. Here's what your quiz is going to cover. 1, it is going to be covering the short stories notes, the internal conflict, external conflict, theme, and stuff like that. The lady and the tiger story, about the lady and the tiger and the love and the death. It's going to be covering all those things we did for there. It's going to cover the fisherman story, which we're going to start getting through today. We're going to read about death in that story. You are going to have homework today. If you look at backside of paper, for those of you who are already freaking out, where it has the fisherman stuff on there, this is what homework is going to be. But we're reading story together with you. Don't squint at me. It's on this piece of paper, the one that you apparently don't have. So squinting at me doesn't change. Yeah. Would you like to buy one, Kyla? Ooh, like the fun. Okay. So you're going to be filling in the information on there. You are welcome to wait for me to do it. But if you do, then I get to torture you. Because the next time we have class, Thursday/Friday, I'm going to expect that part to be filled out. If it's not filled out, that's fine. It just means when I call on you and you go, I have nothing written down, all I hear is, Mr. Broviak, please attack me until I cry, which I'm perfectly fine with as long as you are all too. So same thing for you guys. You're just going to be filling that out as we go through it today. So I'll be giving you answers as we read it, but again, responsibility. The other thing you have to do for quiz is that there's a story called After 20 Years for my advanced class, and then the fun they had for my regular class. That is the other thing you're going to have to read and use your own brain. I am sending it out tonight. Words are hard. Tonight on a Remind. It is also on Canvas in like 12 places. And also, if you go onto Canvas, onto the pages for Monday, Tuesday, there's a video of me explaining the story to you. And you can literally watch a video of me going, hey, would you like to understand this story? And you go, yes, I would. And then I explain the story to you to try to help you out. Jaden. Fun game, Jaden. Yes. I don't need you in logic. This is school. I'm covered today. Wait, aside from me sassing poor Jaden, questions as far as quiz goes coming up Thursday/Friday. Just staring at me and blinking works for me. Yeah, you like to ask you, so grab it. Sniffle. Grab one. So moving on to the story of the fisherman. The drawback is we're running a little bit behind already, so I'm going to try and do speedy version as we get into it to try and help you out. Those of you who have paper copy will be able to take a look at it, and I'll try to do my best to explain things as we go through. Did I talk about the archaic pronouns with you guys already? The these, thous, and thys? Good job. Pay attention to those. They are going to be popping up in the story. With our characters, and there's only 2, as you'll be able to figure them out here in a moment, you're going to figure out which characters get to use thee, thou, and thy, because that'll be a big role in the story, which character has the most power. I will read to you, and I will give you adorable voices as we go. Ready to begin? Yes, Mr. Broviak? Me too. Oh, thee, thou, thy. All right. Thou is ready to begin me reading a story to thee. Sorry, entertaining myself. It's been a long day. Let's begin. There was once upon a time a fisherman so old and so poor that he could scarcely manage to support his wife and 3 children. He went every day to fish very early in the morning, and each day he made a rule not to throw his nets more than 4 times. He started out one morning by moonlight and came to the seashore. By the way, you should already have several parts of character and setting done as it's starting being introduced to you. He undressed and threw his nets, and as he was drawing them towards the bank, he felt a great weight. He thought he had caught a large fish, and he felt very pleased. But a moment afterwards, and seeing that instead of a fish, he only had in his nets the body of an old rotted donkey, he was much disappointed. Upset with having such a bad haul, once he had mended his nets, which the carcass had broken in several places, he threw them a second time. In drawing them in, he again felt a great weight, so that he thought they were full of fish. But he only found a large basket full of rubbish. He was much annoyed, almost as annoyed as the teacher who told 2 kids they had to stand, and sitting down would charge them points. And now he has to be mean. You don't get to sit till tomorrow. You're standing the entire class period. Silly kids. Sitting is a thing you do with your booty. Standing is what you do with your legs. Don't you put your hands in. Once it's turned in, you still stand the entire class period. But now you have motivation. Oh, sorry, I got confused. He was much annoyed. "Oh, fortune," he cried, "do not trifle thus with me, a poor fisherman who can hardly support his family." So saying, he threw away the rubbish, and after having washed his nets clean of the dirt, he threw them for the 3rd time, but he only drew in stones, shells, and mud. He was almost in despair. Then he threw his nets for the 4th time. When he thought he had a fish, he drew them in with a great deal of trouble. There was no fish, however, but he found a golden container, which by its weight seemed to be full of something. And he noticed that it was fastened and sealed with lead, with the impression of a king's seal smashed into the top of it. He was delighted. "I can sell this to the metal foundry," he said. "With the money I shall get for it, I shall buy a bushel of wheat." To help explain things. 1, setting, smart kids helping out other children. Where is our story taking place? You can just tell me for now. Works for me. Taking place at the seashore. When is our story taking place? For me. Early mornings was that early morning time. We still have the moon out, stuff like that. So early morning taking place in the seashore. We have 1 character so far, and our 1 character is? Our fisherman does not use a fishing pole. What does our fisherman use? He throws out nets. Done. That was the best I could do with my artwork, to sort of roll with it as I try to find fishermen using nets. Use your imagination. And so he has the net. But our fisherman is also very religious or strange. He will only throw it a certain number of times. And if he does not catch anything, he deems the fact that he should not catch anything and his children have to chew on rocks for the day. How many times will he throw his nets? 4 times, and that is it. The first time he throws his nets, what does he get? Yeah, much like Shrek, he gets a donkey. Donkey! That he pulls up was like a dead donkey carcass, and he pulls up, which apparently is not edible. Mr. BroviCast, you can eat a donkey? Yes, you can, but not a carcass that's been floating in the ocean or the water for a long time. Now, technically, you could eat that, but then you're probably going to see it again later that night. So I would not recommend that. The second time he throws his nets, what does he get? And that was the best I could get. Apparently, it's a big pile of trash and rubbish. And he throws it a 3rd time and gets, works for me, seashells, stones, and a sort of random things. Those of you who have passed your NWEA math in the past, how many throws does he have remaining? Good job. Mr. Broviak, I know NWEA. So he throws it 1 last time. And on the last time, what does he get? A container bodily. Now, problem is, I couldn't really find golden container when I was using all of my artwork, so use your imagination. I used a jelly jar, which for me is almost as good as gold. because jelly is delicious. Plus, it has gold on top of it. To help it make even more sense to you, and I'll stop ignoring you in a second, Olivia, I brought in a metal container to help your imagination. Those of you at home, I brought in metal container. And I know your first thought, Mr. Broviak, that's not gold. You're wrong. It's Star Wars, which means it's as good as gold. And so this is the container that I have brought in for you. Now, you can't eat one of these, no matter how much you try to chew on it, but he's still excited because what can he do with metal container? And what's inside of metal container? Exactly. All he knows is it's heavy and he's excited. He's like, there's something in there. I just don't know what that something is. Oh, and it says it has a lead seal of a king on the top. Lead seal does not mean like an art, 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 art. He's like, oh, I pulled up a little seal. It's when you smash a symbol into the top. Like mine has Star Wars smashed in the top. This is like the symbol of a king. For you at home, smashed symbol into the top right there. That's why he's all excited. Olivia. Have they shown up in the story? Oh, really? They actually, does he talk about them or do they actually show up? Yes. Oh, like you getting an egg. All right. Shots fired. Yeah, no, they're not actually in the story. You can't count. Nor can you count the fish, which you're pretty sure are in the water. Now, let's go back up. You can, but I would say, being as that we're only 3 paragraphs in, there's a chance that you're going to get a second character who may be more important. Or ignore me and you write down fish as the second character, and we'll see what happens. But back up. You write down whatever you want. By the end of the story, we'll see how correct that thing you chose. If you want, you can write down my shoe for the second character. I can't stop you, boo-boo. But by the time we get to end of story, you may go, huh, my shoe was not the main character. No, it's probably not. JC? You want me to cut your hair? I have a backup mask I can get you at the end of class. I'll be nice to you for now. So, oh, by the way, we're going to get to this in just a moment. You guys know what that thing is? So, what's going to happen in story, aside from me being nice to the child? We're going to get to the fact that in a moment from our container, we're going to have one of these things pop out. From those of you who have read stories in the past, what do we know about these things? They are magical. What else do they do? How many wishes? And like any story I do, it's not going to go the way you think. Let's find out about how it's not going to go the way you think. Let's continue. Oh, the monkey's paw? Wow. What a fun story. No, I do not do stories about death. Let's continue. No, stop trying to talk. Olivia, fast. Oh, well, he examined the jar on all sides. He shook it to see if it would rattle. But he heard nothing. So judging from the impression of the seal and the lid, he thought there must be something precious inside. To find out, he took his knife and with a little trouble, he opened it. Turned it, hang on, upside down, and nothing came out, which surprised him very much. He set it in front of him, and while he was looking at it attentively, such a thick smoke came out that he had to step back a pace or two. The smoke rose up to the clouds and stretching over the sea and the shore formed a thick mist which astonished the fisherman. When all the smoke was out of the jar, it gathered itself together and became a thick mass in which appeared a genie twice as large as the largest giant. When he saw such a terrible looking monster, The fisherman would like to have run away, but he trembled so much with fright he could not move a step. That changed voices real quick. Great king of the genie, cried the monster in front of him. I will never again disobey you. At these words, the fisherman took courage. What is it you are saying, great genie? Tell me your history and how you came to be shut up in that vase. At this, the genie looked at the fisherman haughtily. Haughtily means with a lot of attitude, like you are better than someone else. I'm assuming if you ever have the chance to run into a Kardashian, whatever expression they have on their face when you try to talk to them, that is the example of haughtily. You're like, hi, like, whoa, hey, no, step off, fool. That's sort of like that haughtily thing. Haughtily. Thou shalt speak to me more respectfully, he said, before I kill thee. Alas, why would you kill me? Cried the fisherman. I have just freed you. Have you already forgotten that? No, answered the genie, but that will not prevent thy death. And I am only going to grant thee one favor, and that is to choose the manner of thy death. Well, I mean, I think it's fun. So now, one, our genie is not good at counting. He can't count to 3. How far can he count? 1. And it's the best wish of all. And what wish is he going to give him? How to die. You get to choose how to die. What a fun time it is. Oh, and we also have archaic pronouns finally. Who is using archaic pronouns? Because who has power? The genie, because he has, is the fisherman using archaic pronouns? Why? Much like you guys, he has no, he did, but he wasn't using archaic pronouns then. But he does have power, but I mean, he has power over the water. And apparently that did him no good because the water gave him nothing. Now we're going to find out our genie has not always been a grumpy genie. He used to be a happier genie. But over time, he got grumpy. Imagine being grounded, and the longer you're grounded, the grumpier you get. That's what happens to our genie. I'm glad grounding a genie brings you happiness. But what have I done to you? Asked the fisherman. I cannot treat thee in any other way, said the genie. And if thou would knowest why, listen to my story. I rebelled against the king of the genie. To punish me, he shut me up in this vase of copper, and he put on the leaden cover his seal, which is an enchantment, meaning magical spell, powerful enough to prevent my coming out. Then he had the vase thrown into the sea. Mr. Broviak, is the genie like a teenager because he rebelled against his parent? Yep, pretty much. The genie is like the teenage genie, where he rebelled against his parents, then he got grounded. And the longer he gets grounded, the grumpier he gets. So keep track of how long he's grounded. During the first period of my captivity, I vowed that if anyone should free me before 100 years were passed, I would make him so rich, even his grandchildren would not be able to spend all his wealth. But that century passed and no one freed me. How long was he trapped so far? Nicely done. In the second century, I vowed that I would give all the treasures in the world to my deliverer. But he never came. How long is he trapped now? 200 years. In the third, I promised to make him a potent king, to be always near him, to grant him 3 wishes every day. But that century passed away as the other 2 had done, and I remained in the same plight. At last, I grew angry at being captive for so long, and I vowed that if anyone would release me, I would kill him at once. I would only allow him to choose in what manner he should die. So you see, as you have freed me today, choose in what way you will die. So, how many years was he trapped? Actually, more, because he got to 300 and he was still trapped. So all we know is it's more than 300. So somewhere between 300 and all the time that exists. So all we know is that he's stopped counting after 300, and he's still trapped. The fisherman was very unhappy. What an unlucky man I am to have freed you. I implore you to spare my life. I have told thee, said the genie, that it is impossible. Choose quickly. Thou art wasting time. The fisherman began to devise a scheme. You guys know what a scheme is? What is a scheme then? Fancy pants? It doesn't have to be evil just because Dupenschmerz does it. It just has to be a plan.
Oh my gosh, he's like young. He's like, I'm gonna kill you.
But it's not the genie coming up with the plan. Who's coming up with the plan?
I know, but now I was gonna get that.
Oh, are you trying to be smarter than the fisherman? Possibly. This is where you guys get to figure out if you had to choose a way to die, you could figure out your own way. This is his plan. Squidkins chooses old age. We'll see if the fisherman goes the same way. I would choose to be killed by a bunch of kittens being thrown at me. I think it'd be a fun way to go. We all have our own choices. Right? But still, killed by kittens. That's a great gravestone. Who would not walk through a graveyard and see killed by a swarm of kittens and be like, what's that guy's story? See? Sorry, continuing on. Since I must die, he said, before I choose the manner of my death, I ask you on your honor to answer me truly one question. The genie, yes, I see your delicious food. The genie, finding himself presented with such a positive response to his command, trembled and replied, ask what thou wilt, but make it quick. I wish to know, said the fisherman, if you really were in that vase this whole time, dare you swear it by the name of the great God? I do swear by that great name that I was. I really can't believe it, said the fisherman. That vase, this one right here, that could not even contain one of your feet. How could your whole body go in? I cannot believe it, unless I see you do this incredible thing. Is it possible, replied the genie, that thou dost not believe me after the solemn oath I have taken? Truly not I, said the fisherman, nor will I believe you unless, you go back into the vessel again. Then the genie began to change himself into smoke, which, as before, spread over the sea and the shore, and which, then collecting itself together, began to go back into the vase slowly and evenly, so there was nothing left outside. Then a voice came from the vase, which said to the fisherman, well, unbelieving fisherman, here I am in the vase. Do you believe me now? The fisherman, instead of answering, took the lid of lead and shut it down quickly on the vase. Oh, genie, now it is your turn to beg my favor, but I'm going to throw you into the sea from where I took you, and then I'm going to build a house on the shore to warn fishermen who come to cast their nets here against fishing up such a wicked genie as thou art, who vows to kill the man who frees thee. At these words, the genie did all he could to get out, but he could not because of the enchantment of the lid. Then he tried to get out by cunning. Open the vessel, said he. Give me my liberty, and I promise to satisfy thee till thy own happiness is fulfilled. Thou art a traitor, replied the fisherman. I should deserve to lose my life if I were such a fool as to trust thee. If I trust myself to thee, continued the fisherman, then I am sure you will surely betray me again in the future when it suits your needs. No, you shall remain encased in this tomb forever. I try, thank you. Homework is figure out the other elements. We are talking about them at the beginning of class. If you don't have them done, that's fine. It means you give me permission to attack you. Those of you who are standing, if you got the homework done, make sure you send it to me so I don't have to torture you in the future. Those of you who are leaving while I'm still talking, don't worry. I've already charged you points like I did last week when you did the same thing. silly children trying to run away from me. Stop filling my heart with love. Now you can run away and go to fifth period because apparently you hate me. Other kids, we'll see you guys later. You don't hate me quite as much. You've got 5 minutes to get there. That gives you 3 minutes to sit and stare at other kids. Toodles.